All right, so welcome to my YouTube channel. Give you guys a sneak peek. Maybe this is the thumbnail. Okay. So sorry if my glasses have glare to them. I am blind as a bat, so I need to wear them, so unfortunately. So let's just get started. So my name is Angela. I'm a knitter that lives in Alberta, Canada. I started to knit around December 2022. So it's been about it'll be 2 years in December, I guess. And yeah, I did a toque was my first thing, or I guess a beanie. I'm Canadian, so we say toque. What was I saying? Since then, I have not stopped knitting, and it's just taken over all my hobbies. I do also like paint. I paint, I draw, so I do art. That might potentially also be part of my channel. We'll see. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see kind of a mix of knitting, crafting, art. I do have a sewing machine, so that's something that I'm wanting to get into. We'll see. I think that's all I need to say for now. I started this because I do a lot of knitting. I have a lot of knitting and no one to talk about it with. So I decided that it'll be good to talk to you guys if there's anyone there. Yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram as well. I'm not sure how frequently I'm going to be posting videos like this, but I've accumulated a lot of stuff over the last kind of month or so, and I feel like I need to yap to someone about it. So here we are. It's my day off. I work full time, so I may not knit as much as some other YouTubers that you might see. But for me, I felt like I had a lot to talk about, so anyway, it's hot, so I'm just wearing, a tank top, some shorts, so I'm not wearing any knitwear today, but going forward, I'm gonna try to wear some of my knits in these videos, but today it was just too hot, so I couldn't do it. I'm gonna kind of follow the same usual podcast format. Would be finished objects, and then my works in progress acquisitions. For this one, I'm going to go in a little bit different order. So I'm going to start out with my finished objects, but I'm going to go into my acquisitions next, because then that kind of segues into my whips. Because I did go to Knit City recently, a few weeks ago, I suppose now. It was a yarn festival, my first yarn festival. I had a lot of fun, bought a lot of yarn, and so I'm kind of working through that stash of goodies for my whips. So I'll start with finished objects. I do have my laptop here, kind of have the Ravelry pages open so I can talk as I go along. Give you guys a sneak peek. Maybe this is the thumbnail. Okay. But I'll start out with my vest number 2 here. So this one is a top-down V-neck vest. I knit this one with Rerum Natura Gilliatt. And with this one, I was playing a major game of Yarn Chicken. I bought this yarn from Wet Coast Wools out of Vancouver when I went down there quite a few months ago now. I think that was back in February, and I only bought 2 balls just because I wanted to get something as a kind of souvenir. I figured I'd find something to do with it. But the issue being that I only bought 2 balls, so I was kind of limited in what I could make from it. I don't make a lot of accessories these. I do have a pair of mitts that I've made, and I do have a kind of neck, I think they call it a dicky, where it's like just the neck part and the turtleneck. I knew that I wanted to make a garment, but with 2 balls, I figured if I did a V-neck that I wouldn't need to knit this middle portion, so then that'll kind of save me some yardage. I guess I'll talk more about the pattern. This is my first time, so you guys. So the pattern is by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It says it's Aran weight, 17 stitches per 25 rows in stockinette. The side range is XS to XL. And then in terms of the measurements for that, that's a finished circumference of 104 to 128 centimeters. And it recommends, I'm not sure how much positive ease that's recommended. I don't usually look at that. I kind of just decide how I want it to look, and then I pick the size based on whatever is there. So I have a black vest that I wear all the time, and I wanted to kind of recreate with this one. So I took basically the measurements like verbatim from what my finished circumference was, and I took my gauge swatch to see how many stitches per inch or stitches per 10 centimeters, and then did the math to see how many stitches I would need across the chest in order for it to be like that exact same size. And then I knit accordingly to the pattern which size had that many stitches around when you were going in the round. I did do some modifications to this one. This is a pattern that you'll come to know. I think I have modified almost every garment that I've knit. I don't know if I've knit anything 100% to pattern, but c'est la vie. I feel like that's the whole point of knitting your own garments, is to be able to customize it exactly to yourself. So yeah, I knit the Harlow V-neck sweater by Kadri earlier on in the year, and it has this really nice braided detail along the back. You start with knitting an I-cord, and then you pick up from the I-cord to knit the back and the front panels before you join in the round. And I really like that, so I thought that I would do that again with this one. So there's that braided detail along the front. I realize that this whole time I'm looking at myself and not looking at the camera. You'll have to bear with me. So yeah, I added that to the back. I also added short row shaping, which I also did the same as the Kadri sweater. So I just kind of copied the same kind of short row shaping, and I did that along the back. It is quite cropped, if you can see. Maybe I can put this on. I think I'll survive for a few seconds putting this one on. Okay. I'll maybe just sneak a little bit, just wearing some bike shorts in the heat, but this is kind of how it looks. It sits kind of just at my natural waist. It's got, I haven't measured to know exactly how much positive ease, but you can kind of see it's loose. The armholes are pretty deep, which I like, so then if I wanted to wear like a button up or a thicker something underneath, I could easily layer it over top of like a t-shirt or anything like that. Maybe I'll leave this on until I get too hot, and then I'll have to take it off, but we'll see how long this goes. I had a lot of trouble with the V-neck. So at first I had a lot of trouble picking up stitches to make it even on both sides, and that's just a me problem. Like, I thought I was counting every, you know, whatever the recommended frequency was, but apparently I wasn't, because then I was ending up with different amounts on each side, so then that took me a few times. And then also, I knit the whole thing and finished it. I might insert some footage if I figure out how to do that. And just the center V here, it was my first time doing a center double decrease. When I did the Cadre sweater, it's a 2x2 rib, and so you just like did an SSK and then the middle and then knit two together, or vice versa. But this one was my first time doing like a center double decrease, and I realized that I was slipping something knitwise when it should have been purlwise, or vice versa. I don't actually remember what I was doing wrong, but it was wrong and it looked kind of janky in the front. So I had to unpick the tubular bind off, reknit, unravel everything, pick everything up again, reknit everything, and then I did tubular bind off, which I also did on all the other seams and on the bottom. I do that for pretty much every ribbed bind off, just because I feel like it has the most kind of clean, seamless look to it. Okay, this seems really chaotic, but I keep all my tags in a bag like this that I can call upon it for times like this. So I used this one, so it's the Gilliatt, and I got this in the color Poivre, French, for pepper, and on here it says it's 19 to 17 stitches per 10 centimeters. That's that. And I think that's all for this one. Move on to the next finished object. The next one is the Clematis vest by Emma Maier. Emma Knit, I believe, on Instagram. But I'll show you here. I'm considering this a finished object because it is technically finished knitting. However, I do plan on unraveling it all and reknitting it again. But I figured I would just show it just so you can see. So it's this vest here. Let me see if I can show you. So you're supposed to, it's supposed to have buttons, and it has this kind of diagonal button band. I'll insert some better photos if I can, if I figure out how to do that. So this one I knit, I'll say the pattern details first. So this one is a top-down vest. The gauge is 21 stitches by 34 rows in stockinette. Sizes extra small to 4XL, which that equates to a bust circumference of the finished vest of 80 centimeters to 150 centimeters. What do I have to say about this? So I love the color, I'll say that. Purple's my favorite color. So I got this yarn. It's a blend of cotton and merino, which I think is also what's recommended in the pattern. A different yarn, but it's a cotton merino blend. With this one, the issue was that I was off gauge, and I should have known that. 21 stitches is like a DK weight gauge, I would say, and the yarn that I used was I would say probably worsted. I don't know exactly, I don't recall what my gauge was, but you can see it's kind of a little bit of a thicker yarn. It's the same yarn that I used for my Harlow v-neck sweater. I used a different color, but the same yarn, and that pattern I'm pretty sure is a worsted gauge pattern, so I don't know why I thought that I could use the same yarn to do this. But I went down a needle size and I thought that that would kind of fix it. I did make a gauge swatch, and I do make a gauge swatches for everything that I knit. And on the gauge swatch, I could see that I was off, but then I just decided that I didn't care. And I was like, oh, you know, if it's a little bit bigger than the measurement, then that's fine. Like, I like a kind of looser, oversized fit anyway, so that'll be fine. It wasn't fine. Did a quick measure. It came out to be 98 centimeters around, which I still feel like shouldn't have been that big of a deal, because I feel like even my other vest that I just showed is a little bit wider. But I'll just put this on and show you. And maybe I'll put the other one on again just to kind of compare and contrast. The biggest thing is that the neckline is too wide for my liking. I like a V-neck, but then if I have a crew neck, I like it to kind of be like this, because I'm usually wearing, you know, a sweater like this or a t-shirt like this underneath, and I don't like just this. I guess it's meant to be worn by itself possibly, and then I guess that wouldn't be as much of an issue. But for me, I just feel like it's too boxy. The shoulders, it just kind of, yeah, it's too boxy overall, I would say. Even the width I could get over if the neckline was tighter, and the way that it's shaped, I don't think if I put elastic through it, it would cause a whole bunch of bunching. So I think I need to just unravel and reknit the whole thing and adjust the kind of neckline shaping. Also, if you see here, the shoulders kind of stick out on the sides, whereas with my other vest, I'll put this one on. So with my other vest, it's still, the shoulders are out, but they kind of angle downwards, so it looks like it just sits on the body nicer. I don't know. Like, this one's just, I think, as wide, but I think because the neckline is tighter and the shoulders kind of slope, it doesn't look so square. So I think that's the issue with that one. I don't know when I'm gonna find the time to unravel and reknit it, but I do love the pattern. The pattern is amazing. It's very well written. It's very clever, even how it's actually like it's a sweater, not a cardigan, I guess you would say, because you can't open it fully. It's attached at the top, and I just think it's so cool, and I love this color, and I would love to wear it as a layering piece. So I'm going to have to do some math and figure out how to bring it in and tighten up the neckline. I might add short row shaping to the back too, because maybe that might make the shoulder kind of slope a little bit more like my other vest. But that is this one. I'm sure I'm forgetting things with each thing. If you have any questions, you can just comment down below. I'll try to link all the patterns in the description box. All the yarn that I buy like locally, either from like my local yarn shop, or like if I visit yarn shops in other cities, I'll buy some there. But I've never ordered yarn online, so I'm not sure about the online availability of this stuff. So yeah. Transitioning to my next finished think I'll take a sip of water. A hibiscus tea, but you know. All right. So my next finished object is the vest number 4, also one of my favorite things knitwear. I didn't realize that this was going to be so my favorite things knitwear heavy. It just kind of so happened. I think when I look at all of the knits that I've made, I've knit from lots of different designers, but I guess just recently I've done a lot of my favorite things knitwear. This is an older pattern. It was published in March 2020. So as you can see, I like vests. I find that they're the most wearable for me, just because I wear them at work a lot. Work is usually quite cold. So usually I will put on a vest if I'm feeling cold, but then the arms, I don't have any arms. I don't have any sleeves. Okay. I don't have any sleeves, so there's no like bunching or anything like that. So then I can just layer it on halfway through my shift when I'm getting cold. And yeah, they're great for layering like transitionally in the kind of fall, winter, spring. In the winter, I can just wear like a base layer turtleneck, long sleeve, and put a vest on top, and then I'm good to go. So yes, lots of vests. So with this one, I had bought, the yarn came first in this scenario, and then I wanted to try to figure out what I could make. So back in May, I went to Japan, kind of as a 30th birthday gift to myself. So I went with my partner. We went for about 2 weeks, and I went to this yarn shop in Osaka. Let me get, I don't know if I have the name of it. I'll link it below. I know they have an Instagram page, so I'll show that below. But I went to this yarn shop, and when in Japan, you have to buy Japanese yarn. So I bought a bunch of Noro. I had knit one Noro cardigan prior to, and I actually finished it just in time to wear during my trip. So then I thought it was just nice to wear my Noro yarn in Japan and to the yarn shops there. I went to some yarn shops in Tokyo as well, but I didn't get anything. This was the only shop that I made some purchases at. So you'll see one whip also with yarn that I purchased. But this one here is this kind of like multicolor brown with some blue, some yellow, some pink. I think there's even a little bit of purple in there. This is the Noro Anemone, and it's in the color 32. And I bought 4 balls of this. I bought 3, and I ended up going to this yarn shop 2 days in a row. And on the second day, I was like, I should just buy some more just in case I'm not going to be here again. And I think, I'm not sure if this yarn is discontinued. Scrap that if I'm lying. But if I'm not lying, then I guess that this is true. So yeah, I bought 4 balls. So I knew that it was going to be a vest when I bought it. I didn't have the pattern in mind just yet. But I wanted something that was like neutral but colorful, so it'd be wearable. So this yarn was perfect. And this is the cardigan or vest here. I guess it's kind of a cardigan because it unbuttons all the way. I'll just do a close-up so you can see the colors on there. And I'll put this on as well. So yeah, that's this vest here. I might do a couple buttons. I think that this will be really versatile in the kind of transitional season, having it open, but then in the winter time, I can just wear it fully buttoned up as a vest. Put a long sleeve turtleneck underneath. I love the color. I feel like it really, I think it suits me. I don't know. I'm not into all the color analysis stuff. I just wear the colors that I want to wear. And I think that this color makes me happy. So the gauge for this one is 19 stitches, 26 rows in stockinette. Sizes are extra small to double XL. And they consider that to be 95 centimeters to 123 centimeters. So not great for that. I know that recently there's another pattern available, which is it's a vest by Petite Knit. I forget the name of it, but it's a similar idea where it's like a crew neck, sleeveless with a button up. And I debated between knitting that one and knitting this one. But I wasn't, obviously this yarn is quite thick. I think it says that it's 14 to 16 stitches. I don't know if that's what I ended up getting in my actual final product, but that's what it says on there. And I had already been burned from not being on gauge for the Clematis vest. So I figured that I should find a pattern with a thicker gauge to actually make something that's not going to be too big and that I won't have to unravel and knit again. Even though I don't mind reknitting things, I kind of wanted to have it done for the fall so that I can start wearing it. So yeah, I wanted it to turn out right the first time. So I ended up going with this pattern. Modifications. Did I do any modifications? I don't know if the pattern originally calls for short row shaping, but I did add some short row shaping along the back, just slightly, just to kind of slope the shoulders. And I did make some modifications for the neckline. So I knit cardigan number 9 a few months ago, before my trip to Japan, and with that one it has a similar high neck collar, and it has this feature where you have a row of double ribbing before you get into the ribbing that just makes it look really clean and kind of sturdy. So it's not like floppy, just looks really clean and polished. So I really like that with my other cardigan, so I added it on to this one as well. I originally made it with these black toggle buttons. Let me see if I can go grab them. Okay, so I grabbed a couple. They are these toggle buttons here. And I originally had those buttons on the vest, but then I found that it was kind of becoming the focal piece of the vest, whereas I wanted the beautiful variegated yarn to be the focus. So I switched to these neutral tortoiseshell buttons that I think kind of blend more into the vest. They're like smaller as well, so you don't really notice them too much, and then just the color and the striping of the yarn is what's the focal point. Because this one is knit like flat and not in the round, the striping thickness changes, because obviously this is like a thinner width versus when you join in the body and then the stripes get smaller. That doesn't bother me. I know that some people will, I don't know what you'd really do to avoid that. I guess you could knit it. Yeah, I don't know what you would do to avoid that. Unless you were alternating skeins, maybe? I'm not sure. But I kind of like it because I feel like it makes it look like it's a gradient. So yeah, I like that the stripes get skinnier as you get to the bottom. That is all that I have to say, I think, for this one. Again, if I'm missing anything or if you have any other questions, let me know. Moving on to my last finished object for this episode. Hopefully, if I continue with this going forward, there won't be so many. Like, it'll be more kind of consistent with how I'm finishing them. I'm really trying to look in the camera. I know that I'm going back and forth this whole time, so hopefully as I keep doing this I'll get better at that. I think that this one's going to be quite long because I haven't even got into my acquisitions or whips or future plans. So yeah, I might have to cut this into multiple videos, and maybe my future, or maybe my plans will be like a fall knitting plans video. My last finished object is Johanne loop sweater by Other Loops. So this is a top-down colorwork drop shoulder sweater. The gauge for this one's 22 stitches by 30 rows for 10 centimeters. So that's a DK weight. Sizes are extra small to double XL, which works out to a finished bust circumference of 108 to 143 centimeters. It calls for quite a bit, positive ease, 20 to 30 centimeters. I haven't measured the width of my finished object, so I'm not sure exactly how much I ended up with, but I might put it on for like a very brief second so that you can see, or I might just insert photos as well, because it's kind of not a good angle to see the full length of it. But this is it here. You can see close up with the color work and the hem at the bottom. I decided to do contrasting colors for the neck and the sleeves. I just thought it added a nice touch. I didn't like that it was, if it was to be just all gray at the top and then start halfway through with the color work. I feel like having this up at the neck kind of ties all the colors together. And this one I knit with, I have the balls here with me because I ended up buying too many skeins, and yeah, I had just ended up with some left over, which I'm not too mad about because I really like the contrast of the gray and the white. So I might end up making something with this, like a smaller accessory. I don't really wear toques. Like the one that I made, I never wear just because the way that I usually wear my hair, if I have extensions, I just usually don't wear toques, but I could make like a headband. Is that weird? A colorwork headband? Just kind of throw something together, make my own kind of pattern, or colorwork gloves. But I think the gray might be a little risky for colorwork gloves in case they get dirty, but I would colorwork gloves maybe, and then it would kind of be matching. But the yarn that I used is Haynes Creek Heathers by Gathering Yarn. And this one's 22 stitches by 10 centimeters, so it's exactly what the pattern called for. It's 100% pure Highland wool, and I did also get this at my local yarn store as well. As with all the yarn that I get, with the exception of the yarn that I got at Knit City, which will be coming up. What to say about this one? I started this one back in, I want to say March or maybe the end of February, and I was knitting on it for a bit. I had some issues with the yoke depth. I just felt like when I got to where the pattern wanted you to join in the round, I just felt like the armpit hole was too tight, and I just didn't want, I wanted to be able to wear like a looser t-shirt underneath if I wanted to. I don't want to feel like there's wool up in my armpit and feel all sweaty. So then I had to unravel, rip back, until before I joined in the round. I knit some more flat on the front and the back, then I joined it again. So there was kind of a setback with that. And then honestly, I think the weather just started to get too warm. Like in April, I was knitting other projects at the time, so it wasn't taking my full attention. And then around like April, middle of April, it was getting warmer, and I wasn't probably going to get too much wear out of it, so I kind of lost motivation to keep knitting it. I had the body done and one sleeve almost done. Like it was just, I think I had started the color work, but I wasn't finished the end of it. And yeah, I just kind of lost steam, and then it went into hibernation, and I just brought it out last week and finished knitting the ribbing, and then finished the second sleeve and blocked it. So it's all done. If you'll see on the sleeve, there is this kind of detail of a stripe with the base color. And that was supposed to go all the way down the side as well, but I don't know, when I was reading the pattern, it's like it's charted. Like it has the pattern at the top and then the charts are at the bottom as kind of like an appendix. And for some reason, when I was looking at the chart, I just like didn't see the chart for the border stitches. Like I just read the main chart. So then for quite a while I wasn't knitting with that border, and I also had joined more stitches underneath the arm than what the pattern said. I think the pattern said to join 3, and then these 3 stitches are the border stitches, and it's supposed to go all the way up. I think I ended up doing 5, just because I wanted it to be a little bit more oversized than what it was looking like it would be. And then when I got to here, here's when I realized I was supposed to be adding those border stitches. So I just decreased on the sides to get down to 3 stitches, and then I knit that at the bottom. So I'm not sure what to do about that. Like when I wear it and my arm is down, like you can't see it anyway, so I'm not sure if it bothers me too much, or if I'm gonna try to do something with duplicate stitch, and do like 2 lines of black on each side, so it'd be like the 5 stitches with the 1 gray in the middle, up until then. So I might do that to make the pattern continuous. And I was looking at the pattern like on Instagram, the Instagram hashtag, and I noticed that other people's had this all the way down, and I was like, did they just do that themselves? Like, where does it say that? And then I realized that I just wasn't paying attention, so my fault. I don't know if it'll be beneficial for me to try this on right now. I did take some pictures and some videos in it, so I think I'm sitting off to the side enough. I kind of did that so that I can put stuff here. I think I'll just put that in so that you can see how it looks, the fit, the oversizedness. It is loose, I would say. I don't know if I would say it's oversized. I like things to be either tight-fitting or to be loose. I don't like it to be kind of in the middle. So it's like I'll wear, you know, a tight tank top, but then if I'm wearing a sweater, I do like it to be kind of looser. But it's not to the point where it's like overwhelming. and I did crop the length of it. I would say that this hits right where my pant pockets are, like below the waist belt, but not long enough to reach the crotch, if that makes sense, like kind of in the middle there. And I did that because I want to have the option to not tuck it in, and I don't like, yeah, I like things cropped basically, so I don't like it to be too long. So yeah, that is my last finished object. So now we are going to go into acquisitions. There's a sneak peek of, maybe this will be the thumbnail.